why I really wanted the slides is not because I don't know what I'm saying, well, that's debatable, but is because I have some pictures of the house that we're currently in, but I'll start talking anyway. So my name is Tracy McGinnis, and I am a lone parent to two boys. My son Brendan, down there, just turned 13 in October, is severely disabled and medically fragile. And I have 9-year-old son Declan, who's not here today. About a year ago, had a relationship that broke down, and at that time we moved into my sons and I moved into the closest available rental house that I could find. We live in rural North Kildare, and it was a disaster. If I had the pictures up, you'd see them, and they might come yet. It's still a disaster, even though I've tried to do as much as I can to it. The owner lives out of the country. I have no lease, so I can't avail of HAP. It's unsafe, unfit, unhealthy. Rory himself has done an article. If you look in broadsheet, you'll see that there, and pictures are actually in that article as well. One of the slides I started off with gave a bit of my background. I have a master's in counselling and a bachelor's degree in cross-cultural counselling. I'm a writer as well. I write a blog, transitioningangels.com. And the reason why I brought up my degrees is not to say, look here, I'm educated, but it has to do with what I'm about to say in regards to being a lone parent, a carer full-time now, being on social welfare full-time, or that's all I have, I should say, and being facing homelessness. So where it's left me now is I can't find a rental on HAP. When it comes to needing to find a house for anybody in a wheelchair, but specifically a child like Brendan, who's so fragile, immunocompromised as well, and lung disease and scoliosis, uncontrolled epilepsy, severe cerebral palsy, osteoporosis. I could go on, peg-fed full-time. I can't do homeless accommodation. I can't do a hotel. He has a very specific and specialized medical bed with a mattress that's designed for pressure sores. In fact, he's sitting on a pressure sore at the moment and is supposed to be in bed. So as soon as this is done, we'll be heading back down to Kildare, and he's going straight back into his bed. He has oxygen tanks because when he goes into a seizure, he usually stops breathing. I can't go into a hotel room and bring his medical bed and his oxygen tanks and all his feeding equipment, all his medicines. He's on probably a dozen medicines 2 to 3 times a day that keep him alive. So there you have that. Now, go back to HAP, for example. Not only do I personally think it's a failed program for the healthiest of individuals, but when you have a loved one that requires a ground floor bedroom, a large ground floor bathroom, and side note to that, it would be better if he had a wet room, to be honest with you, if you all know what that is, because he needs to have a shower trolley actually to lay down to get showered and washed. Your typical rental, as you all know, is your 3-bedroom semi-D, and where are the bedrooms and the bathrooms? Bathroom upstairs. Doesn't work unless I'm going to have him sleep in the kitchen or the dining room, and how's that going to work with oxygen tanks and a medical bed? It's not. I have been looking unsuccessfully on HAP for a year. It just doesn't work. I've had leases pulled out from under me after paying deposits. That's happened twice. I've been told by owners, through agents, through letting agents, I just don't think the house would be suitable for your son, even though it did have a bedroom on the ground floor or 2 sitting rooms on the ground floor, which one I could make into a bedroom right enough, you know. The same experience as most people with HAP, you go in, the letting agent, the first question out of their mouth is what? Oh, where do you work? Well, I work at home, I'm a full-time care. Oh, so social welfare, or oh, so HAP. I have heard that countless of times. And then there's the housing list option, right? I've been on 2 different county housing lists at this stage, trying to make it a bit easier, leave North Kildare, which is as bad as Dublin when it comes to housing, and look back at Kilkenny, it's just as bad there. There are no social houses, or what there are, again, don't suit Brendan's needs. They won't acquire homes. They're certainly not going to build a bungalow. If they're building, it's going to be your typical semi-D with the bedrooms upstairs. So it leaves us where? In this unfit house, if you saw the pictures, you'd cringe. And I don't know what to do with that. The government's been no help. I've been to Leinster House, I've met with ministers, they all know who I am, they all know my story. Minister for Housing knows my story and has gone to the Minister of Disability and said, look, I can't intervene because it's not my place to intervene in local county council housing matters. So there's that. Another idea I came up with, and this is my best idea, I think, yet regarding housing for us, is that councils offer for people that are on the housing list, right? You have to be on their housing list, low interest mortgage loans. Now, I meet all those qualifications. I'd be a first-time buyer. I'm in that income range they need, for a single person. I think it was less than 50,000. That's definitely me. All the criteria except my income. They won't take it. Why? Because it's social welfare. But as a full-time carer, and here's where I go back to my education and being a former professional, I am relegated to being on social welfare because I am caring 24/7 for my son. I have tried to bring in a model Oh, they have it, look at that.
Do you want to go forward,
you can just go to the pictures, I guess, where the house, so you can see it. Yeah, if you go. There you are.
Yeah. Do you want to follow down the arrow if you need?
If I figure out how. Okay, great. So, backtracking a little bit, but so the house is unfinished. The upstairs dormer rooms are unfinished. There's no insulation. The wind blows through. There's holes that birds fly in and out of, literally. You can feel the wind when it blows coming in downstairs where we're at. The boiler, it doesn't work, it leaks. That's not water, that's actually heating oil that's around on the ground there. The line for it is frayed. That mattress in the upper corner, trust me, I put it right out. I don't sleep on that, first of all, don't you think that? So anyway, when I moved in, I had to buy all new furniture and everything because I was not about to have that in the house when we were living there. If you go to the next picture, maybe. And part of it, so that's Brendan and his, pardon the bare skin, but I do have the privates covered. So that's his unsafe bath chair. It doesn't even fit into the bathtub. So unsafe for him, so unsafe for me, for us both, because I have to lift him up and he's total dead weight. He can't even hold his head up when you pick him up to help with the carry from his bedroom across the hall into the bathroom on the chair. When he's done being bathed, of course he's wet, he's slippery, and even though I wrap a towel around him, there's that situation, and putting him back. As you can see, the ramp as well, it's just a portable ramp. It's actually 2 sections, very unsafe again. It's up blocks. I actually fell off him the other day going out. Thankfully, I didn't have Brendan with me, but I was just carrying a bag of rubbish out. But that's how precarious it is. It's completely an unsafe situation. I don't know if there's another picture, but sure you can. Okay, you can just leave it there. Yeah. So back to where I was then. So now that you see, you get an idea where we're at. County councils do offer mortgages to people on their housing lists. I have approached the councils about this and said, would you please let me apply? Because if I get a large enough down payment, because I've had people offer to do even crowdfunding for that for us because they know we're not getting anywhere with the government. Thoughts I'm leaving out with that one. But anyway, they say no, because you're on social welfare. And I said, I even had this conversation, I said to the lady at the other end of the phone, I said, but my income, if you would count it as income, comes from the state. If you want a reliable income source, hopefully we can consider the state as being a set, reliable income. No, it's social welfare, I'm told. I said, look, maybe this is what needs to change. So her question to me was then, well, we don't do that to people on social welfare for a number of reasons, but what happens when you're no longer a carer? And that one left me quite gobsmacked because there's only one way I would no longer be a carer. So after catching my breath, I said to her on the phone, look, it would be no different than the person that's working at the shop down the road who you've given the mortgage to, this nice low interest rate home mortgage, so they could try and better their lives, provide for their children, have a roof over their heads, have stability and security. If they lost their job, do you not give them a loan because they might lose their job 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road? No, you base it on what is coming in now. And what I have coming in now is as secure as it gets, and that's from the state. I've been on with Regina Doherty about this as well, and I will continue to try this because there is for us carers from Colorado, where I used to live, the only state in America that actually has a very model program where carers that are full-time carers, such as myself, go get trained, take the state test, in this case, be relevant test, to become a certified nursing assistant, which I also am. And you then actually get hired as that role by a home nursing company, and there you are employed. You get a wage. You have the ability then to get credit. There's that loan ability, right? To make something for your family, security, get up on that property ladder, and you're not relegated then to social welfare and the stigma that comes with it. I find the stigma of being on social welfare, even though if I've pleaded this, to agents or homeowners if they were directly letting their house out, look, I am a carer. It's not that I'm lazy, I'm far from lazy. It's not that I can't get a job outside the home. Well, I can't, actually. I'm a professional person that isn't able to be professional at the moment. I've tried everything and it doesn't matter. All they see is either HAP or social welfare, and it's a no. And now I'm trying to propose this where, will you please give me that low interest loan? I'll buy my own house. And then I'm getting off of your housing list. I'm not going to take your HAP. I'll free that up for somebody else. Will it be a financial struggle for me? Because trust me, carers do not get that much. And we are struggling financially. But at least, by God, we would be independent. And I've always been a very independent person. And I can't even do that. They won't even let me do that. So what happens then? My question is to them, and it's gone unanswered so far. What happens when the health board does, they've already been in, the Kildare County Health Officer has been in, he's emailed, because that's the only contact for the owner of the house that I'm in, he has emailed him this Section 18 letter about private rental accommodation and the numerous areas where he is out of regulation. No reply. So there's nothing that they can do. He's out of country. He doesn't reply. Stuck. No heating. You saw the ramp. You saw the bathing situation. There's mold now growing in the bathroom on the ceiling, coming through the paint where you can see it had been painted over before. There's so many issues. It's 45 minutes away from his current school. One way. That's too far for him. He can't tolerate it. And it just, the last slide, I think, because I don't know where else to go with this. Since we don't have disability rights passed yet, will we? I hope. The rights of the child. And if you read that over, especially maybe that last line, that's what I'm holding on to, that hopefully we can push forward with this. And it would apply to all of us, single parents, not just parents of a disabled child. But the state, through that legislation, does have a mandate to help parents provide for their children as best they can. And I'm not getting that. I have, again, by even trying to say, I will put myself in debt for another 25 or 30 years, whatever that mortgage is, and scrape by just to get that house, because he'll die in a hotel. And that's the heart of the matter. He is palliative as it is, and maybe sometimes I do wonder, I don't mean to get emotional about this, but let's face it, this is an emotional subject. Maybe that's, I wonder, are they that heartless? Is that what they're waiting for? Is it? But I also have that 9-year-old son who nearly every day now, he mentions that H word, homeless. When's it going to happen? Where are we going to go? We can't go to a hotel because Benny won't make it. He knows that. He's very sharp. He grew up as his younger brother. He knows everything. And that's where we're left. So I think that's our hope, and for hopefully everybody else out here too that is struggling in this situation, even without a disabled child, is the rights of the child, since we don't have rights for disabled. But something has to change. Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant.